let's start. It was a dark and stormy Monday. Like any other day of autumn, the weather was overcast and windy, but the students of Middling Middle School were unfazed by the gloom. For the first day of school after a weekend, the hallways were unusually charged with an electric excitement and spectacular anticipation.
And last but certainly not least, today marks the first day of Halloween Spirit Week. Ooh, it's time to decorate your homeroom!
The students collectively groaned.
First place gets a prize.
That's right.
That's right! The first place class gets their own pumpkin pie and ice cream party! So, put your best effort in, everyone! If you want. More info online or, around. Yeah! Keep an eye out for those Spirit Week posters, y'all. Happy spooky season, mascots!
I heard Mrs. Ramirez's class had something really good planned for their deco. Like guaranteed when good.
Yeah. They're just trying to intimidate us by spreading rumors. Besides, remember last year? Everyone said that one homeroom class had it in the bag, but then there was that fire.
Oh yeah, the 8-foot skeleton incident?
Exactly. Did they ever find out who let that skunk loose?
I don't think so.
Well, the point is, who knows what'll happen this year?
I guess we do have a lot of talented people in our class, like...
Oh, hey, Tabby!
Good morning, Tabby.
Tabby was not having a good morning. In fact, Tabby never had a good morning when she was at school. There were too many people looking her way, watching her every move, waiting for her to trip up so they could laugh at her.
They're always sneering at me. Like they think their little cliques are too good for me.
Hey, Tabby!
Like I'm less than them. Less than human.
Man, Tabby is so cool.
Yeah, the real aloof type, like a spy or a secret agent, or somebody who's undercover.
Pretty sure those are all the same thing.
I always want to ask her to hang out, but I'm like super intimidated. Think she would say yes?
Just because we're in the same homeroom? Not a chance. Way too cool for us.
Tabby grew out of wanting friends fast. Endless bullying will do that to someone. She couldn't even imagine being that naive anymore. Tabby was fully aware that this was her destiny. To be alone, unwanted, forcibly isolated.
Excuse me. Need to get to my locker. Hello? You good?
Molten rage and mild embarrassment bubbled up from Tabby's core as she stared into the face of her ultimate nemesis, Eden. Eden, something or other. Last names didn't matter. It was how he treated her that made her seethe with frustration.
I hate him. I hate him. I hate him! Always ready to tear me down at the first sign of weakness. I can see it in his eyes now. He's going to.
Listen, are you gonna move or do I have to move you? I don't want to be late to class. Come on, let me through.
Was that a threat?
What?
Tabby slapped a hand to her mouth, worrying she had thrown herself in unnecessary danger. Who knew how bullies like Eden might react to being questioned? She looked around in vain at the crowd milling around them, not seeing a single friendly face.
I can't trust any of these bystanders to stand up for me. If only there was a teacher around.
Is that the bell? I'm just gonna go for it. Excuse me.
Tabby watched in horror as Eden reached for her. Before she even knew what was happening, Tabby's hand moved on defensive instinct, making contact with Eden's face. The resulting smack was pitiful to hear, and Eden seemed more confused than hurt.
Ow!
I was just trying to defend myself. You were going to hurt me.
Who's screaming? What's going on here? Come on, kids. Class is almost starting. Why are the two of you still loitering around?
Recognizing the sound of her homeroom teacher's voice, Tabby spun around, searching for his authoritative presence.
Mr. Teacher, did you see him?
Sorry, Teach. Tabby just wouldn't move.
Around them, the hallway was rapidly emptying out as any stragglers and witnesses fled to their respective classrooms.
I just need to get my books. Promise.
Is there a reason you can't move away from Eden's locker, Tabby?
Tabby gawped incredulously at her homeroom teacher and then stepped off to the side, shaking her head no.
How could Mr. Teacher take the side of a known bully?
Honestly, she should have known. No one would be on her side, not even the ones in charge.
Since I'm on my way to class too, and I have the worst headache from moving pumpkins all morning across campus, I'll give you all a pass. You better be in your seats by the time I get there. But no running. That includes you too, Caleb. I know you're just waiting for your friends, but don't let them make you late.
For just a second, Tabby considered speaking up and pleading her case, but the moment passed as quickly as it came. Mr. Teacher didn't bother to linger, all but jogging off to greet a different group of students. Tabby scared sullenly at his back before walking briskly in the direction of her classroom.
All right, settle down, kids.
Mr. Teacher attempted to rein his class in for at least 15 minutes. Every year, the students would get too excited about Halloween Spirit Week to pay attention. This year was no different. Finally, things felt quiet enough for him to launch into his 3-part lesson on the history of Halloween.
Halloween originated from the pagan festival Samhain, which marked the end of the harvest and the dwindling barrier between humans and the other world. It's easy to forget about all of that in the modern-day Halloween traditions, but if you take a closer look, you'll see that many have deeper historical roots. It's really quite fascinating stuff.
Even so, some of the kids continued to discuss Halloween plans under their breath.
I can't wait for you guys to see how awesome I made my costume for the Halloween party. The lady with the super freaky haunted house on my block helped me design it.
I still can't decide whether to be a zombie werewolf or a vampire ghost. Unless... Do you think I could be a zombie werewolf vampire ghost?
Oh, are we talking costumes? $20, my monster costume is the scariest.
How fitting for the bully to love terrifying people.
Your face already scares me.
The other kids laughed in surprise too, which caught Mr. Teacher's attention.
Is something funny? Tabby, do you have something to share with the class?
Tabby felt her stomach drop as the whole class turned to stare at her. Of course, he let his favourite students get away with talking during class, but not her. Tabby tried to swallow the lump forming in her throat, but she just became more nervous by the second.
I think we're all just excited to dress up for Halloween. I know I can't wait to decorate homeroom.
That's great, but I still have 30 more exciting slides about Halloween throughout the decades.
The class collectively groaned. Tabby breathed a quiet sigh of relief.
It's really quite interesting. There's fascinating tie-ins with the Day of the Dead and the glorious gourds of harvest. I could wax poetic about it.
You already gave this presentation before.
Well, I did more research, and now I have extra footnotes.
The class collectively groaned again.
Oh, fine. I don't know how I'm supposed to have a normal class this week anyway. Why don't we put a twist on it by giving historical context to our proposed decorations?
What, reenact the Salem witch trials?
That's a cool idea. We could pretend to burn you.
What? He totally just threatened me in front of the class. Surely Mr. Teacher won't let that slide.
Yeah, Tabby would be such a good witch.
I don't know if the school board would approve of that.
He's just going to brush it off?
Alright kids, I'll start dividing the class decoration types into groups and share a mini lesson about each of them. So, listen up. For instance, why do you think pumpkins became associated with Halloween? There's something else that's happening around the same time? Can anyone take a guess? If you want to take care of the jack-o'-lanterns, try and answer.
Eager hands shot up in the air. Mr. Teacher picked out one of them.
Because it's harvest season?
Ding, 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 ding! You got it! Harvest season is decorative gourd season, folks. Carving pumpkins was a tradition before Halloween, but the term jack-o'-lantern started with Stingy Jack, an Irish legend that will give you the heebie-jeebies.
Tabby tuned Mr. Teacher out as he continued his lecture, only listening in for what decoration was being offered. Mr. Teacher moved on to the next decoration, and the next, until finally...
Why do you think Halloween was associated with death? Whoever gets this one gets to be in charge of making all of our skulls and skeletons.
Tabby was never a class participation kind of girl, but now her hand flew up in the air. Mr. Teacher looked at Tabby, eyebrows raised in acknowledgement. By some Halloween miracle, she could see her name forming on his lips.
Probably because winter is coming, right? Back then, lots of people died in the winter.
That's correct, Eden. Winters 2,000 years ago meant...
Tabby seethed at the injustice of it all.
How could they do this to me?
Tabby was the one with a special connection with skeletons, but every single year, well, only last year, but last year, Eden swept in and snatched what she wanted, what she deserved.
Hey, I had my hand up. He interrupted.
Mr. Teacher looked at Tabby, taken aback, as if he forgot she even existed.
Oh! Well, you can answer the next question.
Tabby glared at him. She really didn't want to let this go, but everyone was staring, and her stupid cheeks were getting redder and redder.
That's just stupid. It's not fair.
Even as Tabby clapped a hand to her mouth at her outburst, Mr. Teacher raised an eyebrow in judgment. The angry part of Tabby wished she could smack the disapproving expression off his face. But her frustration withered away as she crumpled into herself, heart sinking.
I'll always be the first to get picked on. And the last pick for everything else.
How about you let me continue the lesson and the two of you can work together? This is Spirit Week and I really don't want to give any detentions for disrupting class.
Sounds cool. I'm sure Tabby will come up with something really freaky. You know, given how into this stuff she is.
Oh yeah, totally. She's the type to freak people out. It's awesome.
Too bad Tabby works alone.
Like Batman. Ooh, or the Joker.
Eden grinned at Tabby. Tabby felt a horrified shiver run down her spine, and she braced herself for what was coming.
She looks like him too, if you turned his smile upside down.
The other students tittered at that in typical middle school fashion.
Hey, for real, Tabby would be the best villain.
They're laughing at me now. They're all laughing at me because of him.
Settle down, class. And that's not nice, Eden.
Only joking. Tabby got me good earlier too. That's just how we do, right, Tabs?
Eden held out a fist towards Tabby. Tabby fixed him with her best death glare.
Classic Tabby.
Well, Tabby, if you want, you can work with Eden and...
I am not working with Eden.
There's still a couple of other decorations up for grabs.
She scowled at Mr. Teacher.
He's still picking Eden over me? Why? Why do they all love him so much? What do they see in a bully like him?
Tabby wanted to puke. The class moved on, but Tabby just sat reliving that feeling of everyone laughing at her. Soon, all the decorations were assigned and the class split off into their working groups. Slowly, the room began to look more and more spooktacular. As a reward for their hard work, Mr. Teacher went around handing out spooky stickers, spouting Halloween history facts all the while. But of course, he skipped over Tabby entirely.
Hey, how come Tabby isn't helping?
Psst. Tabby, do you want to join my group?
It's not too late to team up if you want to do skeletons.
Well, Aiden's been picking on us, so we'll reject him. They were clearly taunting her. No point in staying around a bunch of bullies. Tabby started packing up her backpack, watching the clock anxiously to try and be the first one out of class when the bell rang.
I really think you should have been the one to do skeletons. We can talk to Mr. Teacher together if you like.
Tabby's mind struggled to make sense of what was happening.
Wait, is he talking to me? What was his name again?
She had never even spoken to this popular kid before, much less seen him approach her general vicinity.
He's not making fun of me, is he?
Listen, you're not the only one Eden's burned before. Maybe together, we can finally knock him down a peg.
This isn't a trick, is it?
I am Calum, and this is no trick. I'll stand by your side.
Calum patted Tabby on the shoulder and she recoiled, almost hissing at him. Personal space, please. But then, oddly enough, Tabby felt a tingle on her shoulder where he touched her, like there were butterflies dancing on her skin. Gross. She wasn't developing a crush, was she? Calum gave her a small smile.
So what do you say? Shall we tackle this together?
Wasn't that what she had always wanted? To have someone see her? Really see her as a person worth talking to? Now he was someone who was ready to back her up. At last.
Okay, we can stay behind after class then.
Perfect. I'll get Eden to stick around and we can tell Mr. Teacher what happened.
What? No! Just the two of us. I don't want him around.
No. Tabby, trust me, he needs to be there.
No! He'll just ruin everything by charming Mr. Teacher, like always. I'm not going if Eden is.
Tabby crossed her arms.
All right, as you wish.
Calum inclined his head at Tabby in thoughtful agreement. The students all continued excitedly working on their decorations. Soon as the classroom was really starting to bring that Halloween spirit to life, Tabby sat back in her seat, almost vibrating in place with sudden energy. She barely heard Mr. Teacher announce to the class that it was time to clean up. Not long after, the bell rang. The other students shuffled out the door until there was only Calum and Tabby left. Tabby turned her critical gaze towards Mr. Teacher and prepped herself to approach. Mr. Teacher hummed to himself, trying to ignore the grouchy elephant in the room. He reminded himself that he became a teacher because he wanted to inspire the next generation. He genuinely cared about his lessons and wanted everyone to enjoy his classes. But for reasons out of his control, kids could be real shitheads. There were kids who tuned his lessons out, kids who rolled their eyes at everything he said, even kids who managed to scowl at him for a full hour. Kids like Tabitha Bones. Her expression had been so disarming, so spooky, that he had been nervous to even go near her. Now, she was standing in front of his desk with her arms crossed and an equally wicked scowl on her face. What reason did she have to glare at him? If anything, if the horror stories from the other teachers were to be believed. Rumour had it that last year a girl with a permanently gloomy demeanour had attempted to bring her own butcher bones in to decorate for Halloween. While the girl in question didn't have any bones on hand now, Mr. Teacher willed himself to be brave. He cleared his throat once, twice.
Tabby, can I help you?
Tabby took a deep breath, sensing the reservations Mr. Teacher had towards her. She was glad Caitlin was with her.
I don't think you should let Eden decorate skeletons instead of me.
Mr. Teacher stared at her in stunned silence. Tabby sped onwards, afraid to lose her courage.
He's clearly a bully, and if you side with him, you're a bad teacher.
Mr. Teacher furrowed his brow, lip trembling ever so slightly. Ouch! He was hurt by Tabby's words more than either of them probably expected. She could probably sniff out his people-pleasing tendencies, but he could just as easily put those away, especially to call out students who had stepped in line.
Look, I'm not sure why you wouldn't let Eden get to his locker, or why you said he was scary looking. Yes, I heard what you said.
Tabby glared at him, readying herself for an accusation. Mr. Teacher braced himself against a desk, trying to remain calm at the obvious hatred being beamed towards him.
I don't know what's going on between the two of you, but I'm going to call Eden here and we can resolve this once and for all.
No, I don't want to be near him. I want you to listen. Caleb agrees with me too.
Tabby gestured at the spot next to her, only to be met with empty space. Mr. Teacher's frown deepened and he flexed his fingers in agitation. What kind of bluff was she trying to pull? There were no other students left in the room.
I'm sure we can resolve this right now.
Mr. Teacher got up from his desk, glad to be out of range from Tabby's burning gaze. He poked his head out of the classroom, hoping Eden hadn't wandered off already. Luckily, the boy was still close by, standing with a familiar green-haired student. Mr. Teacher felt vindicated at seeing Caleb out in the hallway. Clearly, Tabby had been mistaken when she said Caleb was at her side.
Eden, could you step inside for a moment?
Eden raised his eyebrows, but didn't hesitate to re-enter the classroom.
What's this about?
No!
Use your words, Tabby.
Tabby exhaled loudly. From the outside, she appeared to be flaring her nostrils in deep frustration.
You took the decorations I wanted. Again!
Eden shrugged.
No biggie. Let's do it together after class.
No biggie. Yes, biggie. You always get what you want.
Huh? Like when?
You get away with everything. Like that time you put gum in my hair and I had to cut off my pigtails.
When did I do that? I haven't even chewed gum since the 3rd grade. Oh, wait. Oh, that was you? I totally forgot.
That's it? Do you have any idea how long it took to grow it back?
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's not funny. And Caleb agrees.
Caleb? What's Caleb got to do with this?
Mr. Teacher pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling an odd tingling in his brow, like a headache was setting in. Or worse, a migraine. Children were always so noisy. He hoped they would settle down soon. Not that they ever did. Never fast enough. Never listening to his pleas to be quiet.
Be quiet.
But
Be quiet.
Tabby and Eden both fell silent, unused to this harsher tone from their homeroom teacher.
There. Was that so hard?
No, it didn't need to be. All those years of being a doormat for kids much too young to know better than him. Mr. Teacher felt waves of resentment wash over him, bubbling up from so many instances of holding his tongue and being the adult in the room. That's right. He was in charge, not them. He needed to reclaim his space and authority.
Both of you, get out.
But
Teach? You look a bit weird. You know, pukey.
using Mr. Teacher as a distraction, I see.
That was low. Even for Eden.
Please, get out.
Mr. Teacher's voice was strained and whispery. Eden probably hurt his feelings.
Alright. See you later, Teach.
What a jerk.
Mr. Teacher clutched his head, gritting his teeth.
Oh, should I get a nurse?
He didn't trust himself to speak. Instead, he shut his eyes tight, hoping Tabby would be magically gone when he opened them again. Let's hover awkwardly in silence. He could hear Tabby shuffling from foot to foot in front of his desk. It also sounded like she was opening her mouth and closing it again every few seconds, which irritated him even more. The shuffling stopped, but she had already gotten on his last nerve. Mr. Teacher snapped open his eyes. The sight of Tabby still standing around and glaring at him made his blood pressure spike. Why was that brat still here? Hadn't he told her to leave? She never listened, always thinking she was in the right, always thinking she knew best. A little brat like her. The tingling got worse, making it harder for Mr. Teacher to think clearly. Only one line of thought made it through the mental fog.
Mr. Teacher?
Tabby shrunk back fearfully as Mr. Teacher smiled a too wide smile with too many teeth.
You brats just love testing my patience, don't you? That students get detention, but that would be a bigger punishment for me than you. After all, children who don't listen are no better than vermin. And as we know from history, vermin deserve a far worse punishment. Can you guess what that is?
Tabby backed away, bumping immediately into a desk. The blood seemed to drain from her face.
Oh, come on, Tabby. There's a fun little sticker in it for you. Tabby, you should have paid more attention in class instead of scowling all the time. The answer is...
A low growl reverberated in Mr. Teacher's chest as his skin turned a splotchy green and bumps emerged from his arms.
extermination!
Mr. Teacher lunged at Tabby. Tabby jumped out of the way as Mr. Teacher's brand new claws just barely missed her arm.
Claws?
The desk that Tabby had been standing in front of previously crumpled up like construction paper beneath Mr. Teacher's weight.
Oh.
No. What landed and stared at Tabby from the wreckage with cool reptilian eyes was not Mr. Teacher. Instead... he, or it, lunged at her once more. She dove under the nearest desk, but didn't dare to stay put there. With the image of the newly made desk pancake fresh in her mind, she started crawling as fast as her poor athletic record allowed. Tabby glanced to her side, only to see the desk she was just under fly across the room. It hit the wall, splintering from the impact. With desperation and fear coursing through her, Tabby scrambled to her feet.
Please, 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 please.
Gunning it for the classroom door, Tabby pounced on the doorknob.
Of course, it's locked. Of course. Why would it work? Everything else seems to be going wrong. Why not this too?
From behind, she could hear warbles snarling before a dark shape sailed overhead, smashing into the wall a foot above her. The pulverized debris of what had once been a desk rained down on her. Tabby shrieked and covered her head. She tried the doorknob again, despite knowing it was no use.
Help! Someone! Help!
Tabby whipped around, pressing herself into the door like she might be able to phase through it. The monster approached her with a bloodthirsty aura and clever eyes. He had her cornered, and he knew it. At the sight of his messed up, misshapen, uncanny, too sharp grin, Tabby's legs gave out like her body knew the fight was going to be over soon. She couldn't blame them. Everyone always abandoned her in the end. Why try anymore?
It's useless. I'm useless.
She couldn't do anything. She never could. Why did she even think she could? It's not like Mr. Teacher was ever going to listen. He never had before, so why would this time be any different? She just wished for once in her miserable life someone would have really, truly stayed by her side.
Hiya, Tabby. I'm... What the crap?
The little creature, whatever it was, zipped around the room in a panic as Mr. Monster chased it down, jaws snapping wildly in the air.
I'm Strength, and I'm here to guide you on your. What the bleep is this? Tabitha Bones, do something!
Tabby gaped at the wee little thing in alarm. She had no energy left. The fight was as good as over. What did it want from her?
Don't just stand there! Help!
Tabby took one long look at the terrifying creature and the tiny red being running around the desk, and she hightailed it to the corner of the room, as far from them as possible.
It's a goddamn monster! I'm just a little girl! What are you anyway?
I'm a pixie, and I can't handle this thing on my own.
Mr. Monster swiped at Strength, who darted into a high corner of the ceiling, temporarily out of his reach. The pixie huffed, eyeing Mr. Monster nervously. He threw an equally nervous glance at Tabby. Suddenly, and unexpectedly, Strength brightened up, snapping his finger.
I got it! I'll just give you some candy.
Strength whipped out a sparkly wand the size of his body from who knows where.
Candy? How the hell is a piece of candy gonna help us right now? Also, I don't take candy from strangers.
Eat it, or we'll die! It's magic!
Mr. Monster pounced at Strength, swiping his claws at the shiny object.
No toys in class.
The wand flew out of Strength's hand and spun towards Tabby.
Use the wand!
Tabby grabbed it and let out a few practice swings, preparing to bash whatever came her way with it.
Not like that!
Despite hopping desperately through the air to avoid Mr. Monster's claws and jaws, Strength's voice still reached Tabby with surprisingly clear instructions.
The candy, Tabby! You have to eat the candy!
While Mr. Monster was still fixated on Strength, Tabby weighed her options. Let's eat the candy. Tabby gripped the wand with fear and fury. She hated being told what to do. But if it was a choice between suspicious candy and the jaws of a monster, she'd take the jawbreaker any day. But it had better not be strawberry flavored. Tabby tried to reorient herself in space, frantically looking for the whereabouts of the monster in the room. Mr. Monster stared back at Tabby, a bewildered expression on his face. He didn't seem to be coming after her just yet, but... Tabby scanned the room for any sign of Strength. Had he been eaten already? She had been ready to rip into him, demand an explanation for, well, everything. She glanced down at herself, trying to pinpoint the source of the soft jingling noise she kept hearing.
What is this?
A giant pom-pom obstructed her view, but she could see well enough that her usual shades of purple were gone, replaced by a gaudy mix of red and black.
What the hell is this? Is this a joke? I knew it. This is a goddamn prank, isn't it?
Oh, that's, new? It's okay. Everything will be okay. We can work with this.
Strength continued rambling, but it was nowhere to be seen. Was his voice coming from inside Tabby's brain,
Great. I definitely imagined him.
Well, it seems like we're stuck together. Yep, I can't move at all, and that's totally okay. I'll just take you through everything. They didn't warn me about this, but it's fine.
God, this is it. I finally cracked. Even my imaginary friends are freaking out.
Tabby started to shake, half crying, half laughing at the ridiculous situation. The bells on her horrific outfit jingled with her tremors. Mr. Monster tilted his head at the sound, eyes glinting. Ding, ting, tink, ting-a-ling.
Watch out!
Mr. Monster was before her in one pounce. His claws raked through the air straight towards Tabby's head. By pure instinct, Tabby dodged the attack, doing a backflip across the room.
Huh? Did I just do that? How?
That's the power of strength.
But I don't have strength. I can barely do a push-up.
You do now, Tabs. With me at the helm, we're unstoppable. Now get us out of here.
Tabby did feel a little stronger than usual, but a backflip? Maybe that candy was magic.
What else can I do?
Let's throw desks at him. As Mr. Monster charged towards her again, Tabby leapt towards a nearby desk. With no effort at all, she lifted it with one hand. Tabby lobbed the desk directly at his snout with more accuracy than she'd ever shown in her terrible athletic career.
Bullseye! Not so scary anymore, are you? Go on, try again. I've got more desks with your name on it.
Mr. Monster pawed at the ground, stampeding towards Tabby with obvious rage. Tabby sprung away easily, sending Halloween decorations flying.
Making a mess? You deserve detention!
She tossed chairs, 2 at a time, at Mr. Monster. He winced and slowed down as each one made impact with his head. Taking advantage of his hindered speed, Tabby snatched the string of skulls and caution tape off the walls. Now she was the one running at Mr. Monster. Tabby grinned, knowing he wouldn't be able to lay a single claw on her. She made several tight turns around the beast, wrapping the decorations around his legs with speed and agility. Mr. Monster thrashed around violently, but the makeshift binding seemed to hold for now.
Huh? Wait. There's something familiar about that monster. Those sparkles, maybe? Isn't that magic?
The decorations around his legs began to tear.
Ah! Tabby, that's not gonna hold! Quick, use the wand!
On cue, Tabby swung the wand at Mr. Monster and beat him with it.
Not like that! Wave it around!
Tabby aggressively waved the wand at Mr. Monster, managing to smack him in the face again. Mr. Monster slumped back, eyes rolling around in pain.
I said around! Like around!
Tabby moved her arm in a wider circle, swinging the wand above her head like it was a lasso. A soft glow enveloped both of them. As if by magic, Tabby felt the ridiculous outfit she was wearing pop off. Suddenly, she was back in her regular clothes.
Whew! Glad that worked.
Mr. Monster's whimpers faded into the groan of a rapidly approaching middle-aged teacher. The soft light dissipated. Mr. Teacher blinked once. Twice. He struggled instinctively against the decorations binding his legs, and then looked around the room, horrified. On cue, someone pounded at the door. Miraculously, the locked door swung open and students poured into the room. It was clear from the sound levels that a small crowd had even formed outside. Gossipy chatter turned immediately into horrified gasps. It was audible from the hall, and maybe even the other classrooms.
I thought I felt an earthquake or something. We couldn't get in.
What even happened here? Where's Mr. Teacher? Tabby, what's going on?
Mr. Teacher? Are you alright?
The other students quickly took in the sight of Tabby looming over their bound and bruised teacher. Shredded construction paper and wood dust fluttered through the air. Tabby's pride at having defeated a monster quickly shifted into nervous apprehension.
That Tabby is something else. Did she seriously ruin our decorations?
How is that what you're worried about? Mr. Teacher looks like he's on the verge of tears.
Is that really his name?
I'm okay. I'm alright. Okay. Oh, I think I might have broken a rib. Give me one moment.
Some students had enough presence of mind to remove the decorations around his leg, wincing when the paper crust tore completely in the process.
Did she beat him up? I didn't know Tabby could be so... I can't even think of a good word.
So horrible.
This last accusation finally shook Tabby out of her stupor.
It's not my fault. It was Mr. Teacher. He wasn't himself. He started throwing stuff at the decorations.
That's impossible. Mr. Teacher wouldn't do that. He loves Halloween.
You weren't there. He turned into a monster.
I can't believe you do all this and lie about it. We thought you were cool.
Now, hold on, guys. Let's hear Mr. Teacher's side of things. Is Tabby telling the truth?
I'll be in the nurse's office.
Mr. Teacher got up with multiple groans and winces, gratefully accepting the support of nearby students.
Why won't he tell them?
Doesn't seem like he's in any shape to say much of anything right now, Tabby.
I can't believe this. I can't believe you guys think it was all my fault.
Whose fault is it then? No one else was in here.
Just calm down, Tabs. If you explain yourself well enough, I'm sure they'll listen. Take a deep breath. In, out, and elaborate.
I already did elaborate. There's nothing left to say. I was in the room with Mr. Teacher, and he turned into that horrible beast. He was crushing desks and everything.
Real nice story, Tabby. But what does that have to do with wrecking our decorations?
My poor paper pumpkins.
We're gonna get disqualified now.
But I didn't wreck them! And I wouldn't have even been put in this situation if it wasn't for...
Enough! This back and forth is getting us nowhere.
Caleb stepped forward and stood between her and the crowd of students. Despite his outburst, he didn't seem angry and smiled kindly at them instead.
I'm sure nobody meant any harm. Things happen, right? Why don't we all just drop the unpleasantness?
For a split second, he directed his smile at Tabby.
We can work out the details later. I'll talk to Tabby and...
We'll go check on Mr. Teacher.
Fantastic idea. Just what I was going to say.
I'll go too.
Thank you, Stu. You're a real trooper. As for everyone else, shoo. I promise. We've got this handled.
At Caleb's authoritative direction, the group that had formed dissipated. After a few seconds, Tabby was alone with the green-haired boy.
So, is this a friend of yours?
What? No! I don't hang out with other people.
Aw, how did I know?
Ignoring String's comment, Tabby focused her attention on Caleb, unsure what he wanted with her, or if she could still trust him after he disappeared on her. That last thought faded away as Tabby noticed Caleb had a gremlin of his own on his shoulder. Unlike Strength, Caleb's pixie companion had a quieter energy. He stared at Tabby with critical and sleepy eyes.
Looks like there was a lot of destruction.
Indeed. And yet our prize seems to have gotten away. For now.
Who are you again?
I am Calum. We spoke earlier this morrow.
Why does he talk like that? Did he always talk like that? No, not you. That. The little guy.
The name's Magician. And you are Tabitha.
Hold on. Why does everyone know my name? My full name!
Calum spoke again, pushing his glasses higher up on the bridge of his nose.
You have my apologies. It would seem as though my plans have slightly... what's the word? Misfired.
Misfired? Misfired? That's more than a misfire, you weirdo! You sixed that crazy monster on me?
The answer to that is ambiguous. Yes and no. Both can be, and indeed are, true.
Can you cut the crap? Explain yourself! And use words under 4 syllables, damn it!
My intentions all along have been to get that horrible bully in detention. He's a menace. An annoying, terrible menace. Like a cicada in an otherwise perfectly brewed cup of coffee.
Calum's tirade came to a sudden halt as Magician wordlessly tugged on his collar. In response, the boy tilted his head to listen as the pixie whispered something into his ear.
What's that? The metaphor makes no sense?
Magician nodded.
Like a cicada in a screen door. All he does is make a racket without any care of who he's scaring.
He stopped for a moment, seeking the pixie's approval. When Magician nodded again, Calum took it as permission to continue.
As you can see, I'm also a friend of Pixie's. My most powerful ally is Magician, the pixie of manipulate.
Magician gave Calum's collar a sharp tug.
Magical influence. I can stack any situation in my favor, with the extra power to trigger transformations, often of an unpleasant kind. The assignment was clear from the start. Get Eden to fight the teacher, or wet himself trying. Get Eden sent to detention, ruin Eden's reputation, book a vacation to celebrate, I don't know.
With each word that left Calum's mouth, Strength's round little face twisted into an increasingly worried frown.
If that was your master plan, you failed, Four Eyes! You got me in hot water instead! Your stupid scheme was super convoluted. You think a big Dumbo like Eden could have survived those teeth long enough to get detention? Even if you wanted to terrify him, you didn't have to deadlock the door. I could have been killed!
The door? But that's never happened before. Our power doesn't work on inanimate objects.
I told you it was a terrible plan, Calum. You should have listened to me.
Calum frowned, clearing his throat.
I didn't mean for you to get involved, of course. But you were never in any real harm. I would have stepped in. You understand? Had your powers not kicked in. Everything was still within my calculations. And for your sake, we had to keep the monster contained. It would have been a disaster if the beast rampaged through the school. You might have been blamed for some kind of horrible witchcraft.
So, you were just looking out for me?
Exactly. You think I would have just abandoned you in your time of need?
Yes.
Of course not. I had to play my cards right for our sake. Which unfortunately involves subjecting you to close proximity with that orange-haired wretch. But he was almost in our grasp. Look how close we got.
Indeed. Imagine what the two of you could achieve together, fully powered up.
Yes! The heights we could reach. The punishment we could inflict.
Or we don't think about that. I'm a big fan of talking things out instead.
Your execution was patchy at best, but I can agree that it would have been pretty entertaining to see that guy suffer for once.
Yes! I knew you would understand. Only we can bring that candy-gobbling fool to his knees.
So, what did Eden do to you?
What didn't that bully do? He got up to every bit of mischief in the book. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd commit arson on my house, if given the chance. I swear, it was that bad.
Yes, yes. Finally! Someone else who knew what she'd been through.
Right? He's always getting up to something. It's so frustrating.
It's always like this. He starts the fight and then kicks you while you're down.
Tabby nodded, eyes glistening with vindication.
Things are different now, though. Even a wounded dog will bite. And anyone who would kick a poor, innocent, bone-loving puppy should expect the gnawing of teeth. The teeth of vengeance.
So what you're saying is, technically, we're not the ones in the wrong here. Eden is an annoying prick. So when I argued with Eden, it was probably his fault. Huh?
Yes.
In that case, what I really need to do is to use my powers to purge evil.
Yes.
What?
Like you said, there's nothing more evil than tormenting an already tortured soul.
Tabby grins, gleefully coming to her conclusion.
So if Eden is evil, then I can blast him!
Yes!
No! Are you crazy? Tabby, you're not gonna blast some random kid!
He's not just some random kid, String. He's my rival. He's demented and cruel. Just look at him. Who knows what kind of fucked up and wicked plans are brewing under those cheap, box-dyed highlights. He's asking for a blasting.
If you blast him, you'll go to magic jail!
He's asking for a highly legal and purely metaphorical blasting.
Well, as fun as it would be to vaporize every annoying person on Earth, there are other ways to get revenge on them.
Fun? Wait, revenge?
What's wrong with some healthy spite, Strength? You look like someone pissed in your cereal.
Tabby, we can't be talking about the same stuff here. Vanquishing evil is cool, but you're getting it all wrong. Evil isn't just whatever you don't like.
Well, it seems you're being outvoted at the moment. None of us like it.
Besides,
Real strength happens when you want to move heaven and earth for a just cause, right?
And our cause is most certainly just.
That's right! With my new powers, I'm gonna vanquish the greatest evil to ever plague our lives.
An 8th grade boy?
An 8th grade boy!
the next day. It was dark. It was a dark and stormy Tuesday. As thick clouds approached overhead, the air inside Middling Middle School was charged with the fervent whispers of students rapidly spreading the latest news.
Did you hear?
That's what I heard too.
All that effort.
Pumpkins are all ready to go in the multi-purpose room. Oh, my back.
Today is Tuesday. That's right! It's Tuesday, mascots! Today is the second day of Halloween Spirit Week, and you know what that means. It's time to judge your homeroom decoration! Yes. The judges will be around soon to check out all of your great work. So get those finishing touches in as soon as you can. Or don't. But don't worry if you don't win today. Tomorrow we'll be hosting more spooky activities for all mascots to enjoy. And now, sports. The volleyball team! Yay, volleyball! Has an awakening.
Tabby tuned out the rest of the announcement. Despite her bravado yesterday, she felt a sense of dread about entering her homeroom classroom. The gnawing ache in her gut at the thought of having to interact with her classmates wasn't anything new. But this was a weird feeling to be having in light of recent events.
I'm all powerful now. Why should I be afraid of what other people think?
Strength popped out from inside Tabby's hood, shaking his head vigorously.
No, you should be worried. That feeling, it's coming from a place of weakness. I was going to say guilt.
Strength climbed gingerly into Tabby's shoulder.
Well, listen to me, Tabby. It's not weak to feel bad because you messed something up. Even if it wasn't your fault, but you also shouldn't brush everything off like nothing happened. You did cause some damage, right?
Yes. Exactly.
What? You're agreeing with me? I mean, that's great.
Strength took a closer look at Tabby's eerily calm expression and rubbed his hands together uneasily.
What exactly is it you're agreeing with?
You said it wasn't my fault, and it wasn't. So I shouldn't feel bad.
That's all you got out of that, huh? I mean, I guess what you're saying isn't entirely wrong. But Tabs, maybe, just maybe, with great power...
Tabby twirled one of her braids absent-mindedly around her finger.
With great power, I can finally even the odds. All my life, I've been in the lowest part of the food chain. Easy prey. It's not nice to prey on the weak, is it, Strength?
No?
Tabby nodded sagely.
Like Calum said, I have vengeance to execute, evil to purge, on behalf of us weak victims everywhere. So I'm not going to waste time thinking about anyone's feelings, just like they never thought about mine.
As Strength struggled to turn his moment into a learning opportunity, Tabby strode into class, head held uncharacteristically high. She froze in the doorway, shocked by the interior of the classroom.
What?
Tabby expected everyone to turn at her entrance and start whispering about her. Instead, her classmates barely registered her presence or her outburst. And, more bizarrely, the destruction left in the wake of her unexpected battle yesterday.
It's all fixed?
Fixed is a strong word.
The decorations had been painstakingly glued and taped back together, some covered in a new layer of paint and glitter to hide the tears and cracks. A pile of broken tables and chairs were haphazardly set off to the side, and some students were sitting on the ground. Tabby rounded on Strength, a commendable achievement considering the pixie had been clinging to her shoulder.
Did you do this?
Hey, don't look at me. I was in your backpack all night. Smelled like pencil shavings and old sandwiches. I don't know how I managed to rest in there.
If you didn't do it, then who?
A fellow classmate stared wide-eyed at Tabby, who appeared to be raving at nothing.
Hi, Tabby. Is everything okay?
Who fixed the... Everything is...
Oh, back to normal, right? Yeah, when we got here this morning, everything had been all patched up.
The other student gave Tabby a careful look.
You know, at first we thought maybe you'd be the one to do it, but...
They gestured at a figure sitting in an odd face-down position. A dark mop of black and orange streaked hair sprawled across the desk.
He's been half asleep all morning, and then we were like, of course.
Of course it had been Eden.
Of course it had been Eden. Getting on their good side, making me seem like a bad guy.
Strength cautiously poked his head out from Tabby's hood, making sure to steer clear from the view of other students.
Tabby, hey, stay calm. I know what you're thinking.
Staying behind without warning to fix everything so they would think it was me, and then think I wasn't that nice.
Hey, Eden, you awake, bro? Class is about to start in a few minutes.
A few other students gently patted Eden on the back, and he sat up with a jolt, startling more than a few of them.
Oh, thanks. Hey, I heard you were the one who patched all of our decorations, Eden.
Eden gave the curious onlookers a sleepy, lopsided half smile, but didn't confirm their suspicions. He really didn't have to. His fingers were still tightly crusted in orange paint and a solid layer of glitter. Tabby heard a gentle pounding in the distance, like a war drum coming coming from a long way off. It took her a moment to realize it was the pounding of her own heart, slowly growing louder in her ears.
Yeah, thanks, Eden. You're our hero. Let me buy you a cookie at lunch. You've earned it.
Me too. Or like a soda or something. You work so hard.
Nah, I'm all set on sweets.
He gave a good-natured pat to the jack-o'-lantern lunchbox sitting by his backpack.
Oh, right. Forgot candy is like your thing.
So cool that you don't have cavities. I wish I had your teeth.
Eden flashed them an award-winning pearly smile. To Tabby, it felt disingenuous at best, insidious at worst, like he was mocking her with how well he got along with everyone else. The pounding shifted into a distant roar in her ears, almost drowning out the nervous muttering of her classmate.
Lucky he got to it, right? Otherwise, we'd have to scramble at the last minute. Or, I don't know. Some people were going to ask you if we weren't too busy to help out, too.
I bet they were relieved I didn't do it.
Sorry, what was that?
No, Tabby, come on. Nobody is saying that.
They don't have to say it. I know. Just leave me alone.
Oh, okay.
I bet they were relieved they wouldn't have to buy gross little Tabby a cookie.
The bell rang, signaling the start of class. Tabby trudged dutifully to her spot at the back of the room, placing her backpack on one of the few miraculously undamaged desks.
Should have had Tabby help, probably. I'm sure she wouldn't have minded. At least, I don't think she would have. I don't know anymore, honestly.
Eden laughed aloud, oblivious to Tabby's darkening brow.
Tabs? Wait, no, you're right. Without Tabby's help, nothing would have looked this horrifying. I bet she could have made it even worse.
Tabby froze. Her hand reached out for the wand stashed in her pocket.
Ow! Tabby, bad! And maybe he didn't word it right, but he probably didn't mean it that way. And if he did, well, forgiveness is commendable. It takes the most strength.
Letting someone get away with lies is not being strong.
All right, settle down, class. Let's take roll real fast before the judges get here and I release you all into the cafeteria for the start of our special Halloween activities. I'm sure you're all just as excited as I am to leave this whole mess behind us and move on to the pumpkin carving contest. It's not like giving knives to children can make things any worse.
Hey, Mr. Teacher? I know you probably can't see too well with all those bandages, but Eden did us all a solid.
Not up to date with the youth slang, but I take it to mean that he did something possibly good? I hope?
Yeah, he fixed all the stuff that Tabby broke. Sorry, Tabby. I know you said you didn't do it on purpose, but everything was still broken.
Tabby raised her hand faster than she had ever done so before. She didn't even wait to be called on, speaking boldly out of turn.
Can I use the bathroom?
Is that Tabby? Yes, sure. Tabby, right, let me just mark you down as present and...
Tabby didn't wait for her teacher to continue peering at the roll sheet through his bandages before she left the room.
You're turning into a real delinquent, Tabby.
I'm not the delinquent. Eden is. He's a bully and a manipulator. He has them all eating out of the palm of his hand still, like he's got candy for hands.
That is, a horrific thing to imagine.
Well, imagine worse, because that's what Eden is.
He's just an 8th grader, just like you.
Yes, exactly. Evil starts so young.
You're so right, yet so wrong.
Strength let out a wheezy sigh as Tabby walked straight past the bathrooms.
Oh, wait, aren't we going to the bathroom?
What, together?
I don't know.
From the other classrooms, students began trickling out of the doors, heading out in chattering hordes towards the cafeteria.
I wasn't ever going to the bathroom. I was lying, obviously. I'm going to put Eden back in his place right now. He won't beat me at my own game.
I don't think he's trying to beat you at anything.
Well, he can't. Eden doesn't have any powers. It was stupid of them to think he could ever fix anything. If they want a hero, I'll show them what a real hero looks like.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Don't look if you're so scared. Real strength is doing things other people are too afraid to do.
I have a really, really bad feeling about this.
Tabby snuck into the multi-purpose room, eyes alighting on the dark oblong shapes scattered evenly across the unlit floor.
I'm going to guarantee us a victory. Then they'll see. They'll all see.
Tabby, why are you picking up those pumpkins? Where are you taking them? This isn't our classroom! Tabby, no!
I really liked that.